Hey everyone, I'm Lily, and today we're on to our final part of the Guilds of Ravnica set review, and it's been exciting, it's been a long run, but today we are talking about Rakdos and also artifacts, because we have to pair them up awkwardly, because, yeah. But, yeah, we're talking about Rakdos, so, as always, if you haven't watched the previous parts, I'd recommend going back and watching the first video, which talks about the how I'm kind of like doing this analysis, but in short, I'm now analyzing this for limited, primarily for like draft and sealed. So yeah. So next we're going to just jump right into the Rakdos fun, and we're going to go up with Bedazzle, which is black, red for an instant. Destroy target artifact, creature, or planeswalker. So it's a murder plus red, and murder usually ends up being like one of the best cards in any set it's in, just because murder is amazing. And this card is also very good. Like, most of the time it'll just end up being a murder, like destroy target creature. But you know, sometimes you just need the extra utility of hitting an artifact that you need to kill, and I mean, it's just real solid. And yeah. And I wouldn't mind like splashing for it in an Orzhov deck and things like that, but it's going to be very good. But the double black does make it hard to splash, like if you're in Gruul, so yeah. One thing I will be talking about, like in the past, multi-guild ones, is talking about like, is this good? Because like, a lot of guild cards will begin just being good if you're in that guild, but is it good enough to splash for? Like, do you want to go out of your way to get another one for? Like, go and, like, spread into other guilds and stuff. We have next we have Captive Audience, which is 5 black, red. Captive Audience, it enters the battlefield under the control of an opponent of your choice. So it goes to an opponent, and then they make this decision at the beginning of each upkeep. At the beginning of your upkeep, choose one that has not been chosen. Your life total becomes 4. Discard your hand. And each opponent creates 5 2/2 black zombie creature tokens. Obviously, all of these are bad. The easiest to get around, I think, is discard your hand. Yeah, no, Captive Audience is just a real nasty card. And it's also a really good card. Like, obviously it is 7 mana, so you have to, like, get to that point. But, and, you know, that might be a little fast for what, like, Rakdos is doing, but it is kind of like that, like, game inevitability. Like, if they're not killing you in those turns, like, they will be dead very soon. Mostly due to the combo of their life total becoming 4, and you adding 10 power to your board. So, yeah, no, Captive Audience is just real solid, like, top end for the Rakdos decks. And honestly, I wouldn't mind splashing for this in Orzhov. Gruul is a little more awkward. Like, Gruul honestly just wants to be killing them with creatures by the time they're hitting their 7-drop slot. But, yeah. We have the Rakdos Guildmage, which is Cult Guildmage, which is black, red for a 2/2. For 3 and a black, you may tap him and have a target player discard a card. Activate this ability only anytime you could cast sorcery. You pay red and tap him to have him deal 1 damage to target opponent or planeswalker. The second ability, I think, is the better of the two abilities, because it's mostly just, it's a spectacle enabler. It's a very cheap spectacle enabler. And the first ability, though, is I think very rarely will you actually end up using the first ability. Its main utility is the threat of activation, where your opponent never wants to be in the situation of only having 1 card left in hand. And it'll just cause them to, like, have some awkward plays and not play all their lands and things like that, and can cause some awkwardness. But I think very rarely will you get someone with that ability. Just because it is sorcery speed, you have to wait to count for summoning sickness and all that, and blah, blah, yada yada. But I think Guildmage in the Rakdos deck is solid, just as a real good, like, enraged enabler. As well as just being kind of like its own kind of form of just inevitability. Like, that just, it helps speed up the clock a little bit without actually having to get in. Okay, we have Fireblade Artist, which is black-red for a 2/2 of haste. At the beginning of your upkeep, you may sacrifice a creature. When you do, it deals 2 damage to target opponent or planeswalker. Okay, so, like, these sacrifice things, it's like, the sacrifice stuff feels weird for Rakdos, because, like, Rakdos doesn't have a lot of good ways to, like, make recurable creatures and tokens and stuff. But the thing is, like, this one I don't mind, just because it's, like, sometimes you just need to do 2 extra damage to your opponent. And it's on a body, which I don't mind. Like, a 2/2 of haste is real good. And sometimes you do just need to enable Spectacle or something like that. And he can sacrifice himself if you need to. And, yeah, I like Fireblade Artist quite a bit. Not like, I don't think he's amazing, but he's just a real good 2-drop for the Rakdos deck. And Erectus is one of those where it's like, a lot of their good cards are good because either they enable Spectacle or they require Spectacle enablers, which means that, like, a lot of the Rakdos cards aren't necessarily super wanted by the other decks. We have Get to the Point, which is 3 black-red for an instant, destroy target creature, scry 1. So, this is just, it's an expensive kill spell, but it's instant speed, it has a relevant upside, and honestly, I like this. I'd splash for it if I'm in Orzhov or Gruul, and it's just an effective kill spell. There's not much else to say. And it's common, so yeah. Acrobat, which is 1 black-red for a 2/3, with Spectacle for black and red. Which I mean, obviously Spectacle, like, you're not, like, most of the time you're not dealing damage turn 1 to get this as a turn 2. Like, obviously you can, it's very good, but most of the time you'll be playing this as a 3-drop. But it's a 3-drop that you can pay black to give it Death Touch, or red to give it +2/-2. And I mean, none of those abilities on their own are that super special. Like, its stats are not great, but I think the combination of all of it makes me actually quite like it. So, I rather like Acrobat. Like, it has enough flexibility and utility that I think it'll be real solid. We have the first of the Rakdos Legends. We have Judith, the Scourge Diva, which is 1 black and a red. For other creature for 2/2. With other creatures you control, get +1/+0. Whenever a non-token creature you control dies, she deals 1 damage to any target. Not target player, any target. Suffice to say, Judith is very good. Like, I don't think she's, like, totally busted. I mean, she's a 3-mana 2/2, which is fine. She minorly pumps up your other guys. I would say I'd actually splash for her in, like, Orzhov, because, like, just go wide stuff. Sure, that second class doesn't apply to spirits, but a lot of the Orzhov stuff is dying anyway. But also just makes all of their spirits, like, a bit more of a threat. And just kind of like the making all of your creatures a little bit more potent if, like, in combat and trades become a little bit awkward, and she really helps spin combat math in your favor and things like that, and she just does a lot and really kind of, like, messes up a lot of plans. Next we have McCobb Mockery, which is 2 black-red for an instant. Put target creature card from an opponent's graveyard onto the battlefield under your control. It gains +2 and +0 and gains haste until end of turn. Sacrifice at the beginning and next unstep. So in most ways, this is kind of just it's like a reanimate, but not a permanent one, and only your opponent's stuff. And in many ways, I think it just kind of ends up being kind of like a lava axe in most situations. I'm not a big fan of this. It's just, I mean, it is instant speed, so you can use it as okay, here, I'll block your attacking, hey, I'll block your guy and trade with it and stuff, and I don't think it's amazing, but I think it's fine. Like, it's just fine. I don't know much else to say. Like, and obviously it also depends on what your opponent is doing. Like, and I think if you're, like, playing against Azorius, I might board it out. But if you're playing against Orzhov, and they have Afterlife stuff, you still get the spirits. It's on exile it, you sacrifice it, so you get the spirit tokens if you do that. And obviously if you're playing against Gruul, you just get big stuff and you get punched in the face. Simic is less awkward because you need to put in resources to make them, like, the big things that they become. So, yeah, I think it depends on the deck you're against, and you might want to sideboard it out if they just have a bunch of little stuff. But, yeah. We have Rapture Demon, which is 2 black and a red, but also Spectacle for 3 black and a red, so it can be 5 mana with Spectacle. But it is a 4/2, and when it enters the battlefield, if its Spectacle cost was paid, each opponent discards a card. Do I want a 4/2 for 4? Not really. Do I want a 4/2 with 5 that discards a card? Honestly, not really. Like, discarding a card, a single card, isn't super useful for a bad creature by turn 5. I just don't like Rapture Demon in really any deck, so yeah, I'm just not big on Rapture Demon. Rakdos Firewheeler. This is the heavily, intensely costed Rakdos card, which is black, black, red, red for a 4/3. And when it enters the battlefield, it deals 2 damage to target creature, or target opponent, and 2 damage to up to 1 target creature or planeswalker. 4 mana 4/3s, I'm fine with. 4 mana 4/3s can also ping the shock an opponent and shock a creature. This is a very good card. This is honestly probably the best of the color intensive cards in this set. Yeah, I think it is. Just, it's a removal spell, it does damage, it's a big good body on itself, and all those things combined just turn into a very, just a powerhouse of a card. There's not much to say, even small Flametongue Kafus are still good cards. Rakdos Roustabout, which is a 1 mana black red for a 3/2. Whenever it becomes blocked, it deals 1 damage to the player or planeswalker it's attacking. I mean, it's a fine 3-drop. Also, it's a good spectacle enabler. There's actually there seems to be a lot more spectacle enablers than there are really good spectacle payoffs, in my opinion. But I'm not complaining about that. But yeah, no, it just seems like a really efficient 3-drop. It's not the best 3-drop, but it's a 3-drop that will just get in and still do damage regardless. The second Rakdos legend, we have Rakdos, the Showstopper, which is 4 black and a red for a 6/6 with flying and trample. That alone, I'm in. That's very good stats, just good in general. And when it enters battlefield, flip a coin for each creature that isn't a demon, a devil, or an imp. Destroy each creature whose coin comes up tails. I mean, there are some demons and Rakdos and stuff like that where it's you can kind of assume that this will be a half board wipe. And there'll be situations where you Wrath half your entire board and your opponent's board is fine, but at least then you're left with a 6/6 flying trample, where it's kind of that, the situation of any board wipe where you just gotta, you control when it comes down. And, I mean, this pseudo board wipe comes with a 6/6 flying trample, and that's quite good. There's not much to say. He's just raw stats is most of his power. The ability to kill some stuff is nice, but yeah. Fator of Horrors, which is 1 black and a red for an enchantment. At the beginning of your upkeep, exile the top card of your library. During your turn, if an opponent lost life this turn, you may play cards exiled with Fator of Horrors. And you may pay 3 and a red to have it deal 1 damage to target opponent or planeswalker. Honestly, this is just a real, it's weird kind of, Phyrexian Arena effect, and I really like this. This is a really cool effect. And it gives it a way to enable itself. Really late game, if you just need a little bit of reach, it lets you just pour mana in to do damage to your opponent. And yeah, this is one of the best, spectacle payoffs, even though it doesn't technically have spectacle. Yeah, no, Fator of Horrors, I just I think it's a very good card. Footlight Fiend, which is black red. So this is the hybrid card. So it works in either, it can go into mono black or black decks or red decks. It doesn't have to be Rakdos. And it's a 1/1 that when it dies, it deals 1 damage to any target. I'm not really into this. It just doesn't do enough. It's fine. No, it's not even fine. It's just not good. I don't want 1/1s. I don't want to be paying a card for this effect. No. No to Footlight Fiend. Okay, we have now are split cards, which is Bedeck and Bedazzle. Bedeck is target creature gets +3, -3 until end of turn for Rakdos, so it goes in both red and black decks. And Bedazzle is 4 black-red, destroy target non-basic land, and Bedazzle deals 2 damage to target opponent or planeswalker. Most of the time you'll not be using Bedazzle and you're mostly just using Bedeck, which is a real solid removal spell in either any deck that runs black or red. And you know what, yeah, what was it? It was like Mark of Emrakul or something, and like Eldritch Moon, which is a very similar effect, and like sometimes you'll use it to push through a single piece of damage, but mostly you'll just be using it to kill something with toughness 3 or less. So, and it's a good spell at that. It's instant speed and does all that, and I like that. Very rarely will you run Bedazzle. The next card we have Carnival and Carnage. Carnival deals 1 damage to target creature or planeswalker, and 1 damage to that permanent's controller. Carnage is 2 black-red. Carnage deals 3 damage to target opponent. That player discards 2 cards. Okay, neither of these effects I really like. Like, they're both mediocre effects. Like, sometimes you need to ping something to kill it, and it also enables Spectacle. Carnage is like sometimes you'll get their last 2 cards and also bolt their face, but it's very situational and all that. But the fact that like it's 2 situational cards on a split card that lets me kind of like usually one of them will become up useful makes me actually quite like this card. Like they're both like that's kind of like the beauty of split cards, where they're both mediocre cards that the combination of the 2 of them makes me actually rather like the card. So yeah. We're on to the artifacts. So first we have the Locket Cycle. I'll probably breeze through these because we've seen these before. And the Locket Cycle in Guilds of Ravnica turned out to be very good. Just they are 3 mana rocks that tap for 2 colors of the guild that they're associated with. And you pay 4 mana of that guild to sacrifice it to draw 2 cards, and these just ended up being very good. Yeah, and I quite like them. Help you fix, it helps you in like late game, just cracking them for card advantage is real solid. So yeah, as Orius Locket. Gate Colossus, which is one of the best payoffs for the Gate deck, which is an 8 mana 8/8 that costs 1 less to cast for each gate you control. It cannot be blocked with creatures with power 2 or less. Whenever a gate enters the battlefield under your control, you may put Gate Colossus from your graveyard on top of your library. So it keeps going back. It is reduced cost. I wouldn't run this if I have less than 3 gates, because 8 mana is a lot even for an 8/8. But if you have like 1 to 2 gates in play, then it becomes like a very reasonable card. And the fact that any late game gates lets you just get it back makes me just really like this card. Yeah. Gate Colossus, it just does a lot of work. It has evasion. Yeah, there's not much to say. There's not much to say about a 8/8 that you can cheat and retreat cheaper and recurs itself. So, yeah. Next we have Glass the Guild Pact, which is a 2-mana artifact, which says multicolored creatures you control get +1/+1. So it's an anthem, and obviously you have to have you have to look at your creatures and see do I have enough multicolored creatures? And I think most of the factions it'll be acceptable in most decks, but not wonderful, except for Orzhov, because the spirit tokens in Orzhov are technically white-black, so they get +1/+1 from this, and I think this will end up being very good in Orzhov, and fine in the other decks, if you get an unusual concentration of gold cards, or if you're playing the 3-color deck and you just have tons of gold cards, I like that a lot, but yeah, but otherwise you are spending a card for an anthem effect. Granted, it is only 2 mana though, so yeah. Also, it has Mara flavor text, which makes it amazing, obviously. In the Locket, we have Gruul Locket, a Junk Troller, which is a 4 mana 0/6 defender, and you may tap it to put a target card from a graveyard on the bottom of its owner's library. So it's a graveyard hate-ish thing, but none of the guilds in this faction really care about their graveyard, so this doesn't really have a good place in this. Just don't run this. Just don't. Orzhov Locket, Rakdos Locket. We have Scrabbling Clause, which is a 1-mana artifact. You may tap it to exile a target creature. Player exiles a card from the graveyard. You pay 1 and sack it to exile target card from a graveyard. Draw a card. Again, you don't need to be doing graveyard hate in the set. Just don't do this. Screaming Shield, which is an artifact it's a 1-mana artifact with equipped 3. And equipped creature gets +3/+0/+3 and has 2 tap. Target player puts the top 3 cards of their library into their graveyard. Don't make mill happen. Don't try this mill deck. There isn't enough support to make this mill deck happen. Don't do it. Just don't. No. No. Also, just for the effect it said, even if mill was viable, that is a lot of mana you're sinking in. Like, to mill your first 3, you've already sunk in 6 mana into this guy. No. There you go. Cynic Locket. We have Sphinx of the Guild Pact, which is a 7-mana 5/5, which is all colors. It also has flying, and it has hexproof from monocolored. This is a very good card. Like, there's only a few removal spells that can actually take this out. And, yeah, I mean, it's 7 mana it's a 7 mana hexproof from most removal in the set, which makes me actually quite like Sphinx of the Guild Pact a lot, like, in almost any deck. Also, I love, like, the gold artifact frame. I just think it looks really cool. Yeah. We have Tome with the Guild Pact, which is a 5-mana artifact. Whenever you cast a multicolored card, spell, draw a card, and tap, add 1 mana of any color. So it's an expensive mana that also lets you cycle any, like, multicolored cards you have, which is very good if you, I think, are in that 3-color deck. Like, if you're in 3 more colors, I really like this. If you are in just 2 colors, I just don't think you'll have the... You don't want to be spending 5 mana for this effect. Like, it's just a lot of mana that you're spending. If most of your deck is multi-gold cards and you play, I think it becomes a lot better. It's very similar to the, what was it? It was the Simic, like the green enchantment that was like whenever a creature is battlefield, draw a card. If it's a unique creature and stuff, where it's like, it has such great, it's like that, where it has like that such great in-game inevitability that like makes me like it a bit more. But, yeah, it just, if you don't have that, you want to have, like, preferably, like, under, like, probably, like, 7 or less monocolored cards to run this in your deck, because otherwise you're just spending way too much mana on this. And that is it. So, we have finished our Guilds of Ravnica set review. And, that only took forever. Well, I hope you enjoyed the series, and, yeah, let me know if you disagree with any of the things I've said today. I want to, like, get better, because I have the pre-release soon, and, I hope everyone has a good time at their pre-release, and does well, and, yeah. Well, I hope you all have a wonderful night, and, as always, may your starry smile upon you.